better sit there like you on the first 48 and they just offered you a chicken sandwich. Okay? I can't say anything because that's just not my game. But when the time comes, I promise I'm going to give you something. Get your chicken sandwich and snitch. Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if this, I don't even have it in me today. I don't even have it in me right now because, baby, this episode right here, I can't, welcome, I cannot. Let me tell you something, okay? Remember when I first started this whole thing off and I told you guys that I was afraid to watch this season because the spoiler accounts said that Dan was the first person out. And y'all don't want to see my friend go out like that, so I didn't want to watch it, right? After watching this episode right here, baby, I would have preferred if he was the first person out. Because watching him go out like this, oh baby. Oh baby. I can't. Let's get into it. Because I'm hot. I am hot. So let's get into it. Damn. We have made it to episode 6, okay? And as you saw at the end of episode 5, Dan fell right into Peter's trap, okay? Because he didn't want to listen to the women. Parvati told you, and Phaedra said it was not a good idea to try to vote out Bergie, but you so in your feelings because he talked about putting your name on the damn voting card. I'm mad. Calm down. You mad? I am. You're upset? I am, visibly. So calm down. Okay. He is so adamant about getting Bergie out. His judgment is clouded and he's not thinking straight. And so Dan has fallen right into Peter's trap. So we start this episode off with breakfast, okay? It is breakfast time and all of the people are rolling in. And as we know, with breakfast, we get the opportunity to see who did not survive throughout the night. Now, if Dan's plan were to work, Bergie is not going to walk through those doors. But as we all know, because we watched the mission, Bergie and Trishelle have a shield. So they are safe, meaning that Dan's vote is going to be blocked. The banishment will be blocked, okay? But they don't know that yet. And so they are expecting Bergie to not walk through those doors. And baby, so the cast members start rolling in for breakfast, and as they get to the final, there's no Bergie. And so, you know, Phaedra is like, oh no, not my Bergalicious, and all of the things, right? All of the things. And then Bergie comes walking through the door. When I tell you, Dan was shook. Dan was shook. Do you understand me? Like, Dan was so shook, okay? And it was Phaedra for me with the thank you, Jesus. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, right? As Bergie walks through the door, Bergie makes the announcement. He has the shield. He says that the traitors did try to banish him, but it didn't work because the shield blocked it. We got Peter out here looking at Dan and Parvati and even CT like, I got y'all right where I want y'all. Bam. You know what I mean? Like he feeling like the man because his plan worked. And I'm just, again, I need to learn how to create reaction videos because when I tell you the mug I had on my face towards Dan, like, you had one job. You had one job. And that was just to listen to your traitor cousins, okay? Because them is your cousins. Like I said, everybody else is an outsider. These are your people. And all you had to do was listen to them. But the judgment was clouded. And oh my goodness. And again, I'm going to give him grace because we all fall short. We all make mistakes. You know, players mess up too. It happens, you know. But baby, this was a mess up. So Peter is now calling the people out, right? Publicly and loudly. You know what I'm saying? He announces what his plan was and how he executed it. You know, Bergie is like, yeah, tell everybody what your plan was. And Peter was like, I purposely told some people that I had the shield just so I can trap them, the people that I thought were the traitors, so that I can trap them, you know, and they could potentially vote for the people who had the shields and we can find out who they are. And so Sandra was like, well, you didn't tell me. And then it clicked like, wait a minute, who did you tell, right? And so Sandra was like, tell us who were the people you told. And so he's like, looking around like, I told some people. So CT was like, you told me, but I'm a faithful. So I didn't think nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? And then Dan is like, well, you told me too, but I didn't, you know. And then Poverty comes in, well, yeah, you said it to me, but I didn't, you know what I mean? So now everybody's trying to chime in. I think if CT would have never said anything, the rest of them wouldn't have stepped up. As all of this is going on, Kate is very much so lost. I mean, she is very much so, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. Don't fill me in because I really don't care, but there's a lot of foolishness going on, and I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to watch and see what happens. Like, she's real comfortable for faithful. That's what I'm saying. Y'all should have got her up out of here. She's just, but she's funny though. So I guess, you know, from a viewer's perspective, I'm glad that she's there because she's actually really funny. Like, I can tell that she's TV gold. I'm gonna have to go check out her show, but she's funny as hell. But she's lost in the sauce. She doesn't know what's going on. She don't know right from left, left from right, front from back, up from down. She don't know. But she is there to have a good time and potentially not a long time, it seems like. So now, as all of this is going on, because mind you, Peter's plan included Dan and Parvati. It did not include Phaedra. So you better believe my girl Phaedra is sitting there eating her breakfast like this is none of my business. She does not care about anything that is going on, and rightfully so, because they didn't put you in the plans. They didn't include you in the plans, and so you shouldn't be included now, sis. I do not blame you for not saying a word. I don't care about drown. Let them drown. Don't give them a life vest. Don't give them a floaty. Don't, nothing. Let them drown. Let them drown, Phaedra. Let them drown. I don't blame you at all. So Parvati pulls Peter aside to have a conversation with him. And of course, we shout out to the camera people and the editors, okay? Because as Parvati and Peter are trying to have their conversation, we see Dan eavesdropping. He's pacing the hallways, trying to make sure Parvati don't say anything that's going to throw him under the bus. Like, he is pacing. Dan is nervous. Dan is scared. Dan is shaking. And I have, like, again, as somebody in the Big Brother community, as a viewer and a player, this is the moment where we see Dan shine, okay? This is the moment where we see him, like, pull a rabbit out of a hat. You know what I'm saying? And as I'm watching the episode, the rabbit's not coming out of the hat. I mean, he's digging in the hat, but air is coming out. Like, nothing's happening. And as his hands are empty, I'm just like, Dan, where are the things? Baby, go find the rabbit. Dan, I need you to find the rabbit. And it's not happening. So now this right here, this pissed me off. Because Dan finally gets an opportunity to have a conversation with Peter. And Peter is like, man, give me something. I just need you to give me something. I don't care what it is. Just give me something to make me not want to look at you the way I'm looking at you as a traitor. Give me something. Y'all, Dan gave him nothing. He gave him nothing. Still, I'm like, Dan, at this point in the game, I'm going to keep my mouth closed and I'm not going to. That's not working. That's not working. You better sit there like you on the first 48 and they just offered you a chicken sandwich, okay? You need to be giving up all the things to make them not look at you anymore. You really sitting there like, I can't say anything because that's just not my game. But when the time comes, I promise I'm going to give you something. Get your chicken sandwich and snitch. I need you to eat your chicken sandwich and snitch. Like, Dan, you're pissing me off. You're pissing me off. Like, I'm getting so mad all over again. I'm getting so mad. This episode pissed me off. So now it's time to get into this mission. It is time for the next mission. And this one is worth $20,000 and they have 60 minutes to complete it. Basically, I think they were running through the forest or the woods again, right? And along the way, they're collecting pieces to build a catapult, right? And I think like the money bags as well. And there's sleds along the way to help them carry the pieces because the pieces are extremely heavy. These are some heavy pieces and I can tell because by the time the mission was over, baby, it was sweat and heavy breathing everywhere, okay? Drenched. CT was drenched. Do you understand me? And so I know that this was welcome to the challenge, okay? This one was a heavy, challenging mission, right? So they have to collect the pieces and make it, pull the pieces all the way up this huge hill into this designated area, build the catapult, and then launch it, right? They have to do that in 60 minutes. They gave you an hour to do that. That's how I know. Like, this mission right here was no joke, okay? And so along the way, there are these ammo boxes that they can collect, and these will count towards the people who can compete at the end to get a shield. There's only one shield in this mission. So I don't care if 30 people got a box. You all are going to compete, and only one person is going to be able to get the box, right? But the gag is, if you don't make it across the finish line with your ammo box, you don't get to compete. So you finding the ammo box means nothing. You have to be able to carry it along with the pieces for the catapult all the way throughout the journey to the finish line, right? And if you make it across the finish line with your box, then you can go into the shield competition at the end. The gag is, if time runs out and you do not make it to the finish line with that box, or if you make it to the finish line and you don't have your box, then there is no shield. There is no shield for you. I don't care how far you carried it. If you do not cross that finish line in enough time, you don't get it, okay? Now, I will say, so far, this has been one of the funniest missions, because, baby, when it came time for them to cross that river, baby, Sheree almost took me out. When I wish I could include clips, but, you're not about to get me for the copyright situation, but Sheree trying to cross that bridge, and then Phaedra with the, I'm scared. And then Trishelle over there literally ready to box with Kevin so that she can get this ammo box. Let me tell you something. They were not playing, okay? They were not playing. And they had me cracking up trying to cross this river like it's water. It's water. Just walk. I'm scared. Listen. Phaedra, you ain't fooling nobody. You ain't fooling nobody. Hold on to CT all. I'm scared. With the Damsel in Distress Act. Baby, get your man. Get your man, girl. Get your man. Get your man, girl. The blog said he's divorced. Get your man. So as they're going through and collecting the pieces, they're also getting the ammo boxes. And by the time they get across to the finish line, Sheree has a box, Peter has a box, Parvati has a box, Trishelle has a box, and Sandra has a box. So those are the 5 that are going to compete. But wait a minute, before we even get there, right? This is how I know that the process of carrying all these pieces was so heavy. They had to split it up, because once they got to that huge, big old piece, they were like, okay, cool. The men are going to push this, and then the women are going to carry these pieces. So they did some teamwork. Shout out to the group for coming up with some teamwork, right? But the funny part was the fact that all of the ammo boxes were with the women. So when they got close to the finish line, all of the women are taking the ammo boxes and running off to place them on the haystacks. Now, that damn Kate. She gets the box and she's just standing there. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't think I want to put the box on there, because the idea of competing for a shield is just not something I want to do. And she's just standing there, giving Peter the opportunity to come and get the box. Now, granted, Peter is the one who found it, but baby, if Janelle was still here, Janelle wouldn't have cared about no Peter. Janelle would have put that damn box on that haystack, and that would have been that on that on that, and she would have talked to Peter about it later. She wouldn't have cared, right? And so that's why I feel like they should have just voted that lady out. They should have voted that lady out, because Janelle wouldn't have sat there and played that game. She would not have played that game. Like, sorry, Peter. Sorry, you should have been back here with us. Like, Janelle would have played that game, and it would have been great to watch. But, this was a funny moment. So shout out to UK, because it was a funny moment. I won't take that away, but girl. And see, this is even, for me, and I would have been so wrong, but whatever. But for me, her standing there and not feeling the urgency to want to put the ammo box on there to compete for safety, that would have made me feel like, oh, they brought her in to be a traitor. Because why is she not, you know what I'm saying? But then on the flip side, it's like she doesn't feel in danger because everybody else is already at war with each other. So she's able to kind of just like coast through the middle. So that could be another reason why there was no urgency. But baby, Janelle wouldn't have played that game. Janelle would have been like, Peter, I'm so sorry for you. I'm so sorry for you. So they build the catapult, and then John launches it over, and they complete the mission on time. So now it is time for the shield challenge, right? And the 5 people that I mentioned earlier, they get to compete in the shield challenge. Now how this works is they have to launch the little catapult, and whoever's little target thing, whose ever little target thing lands closest to the center, that's the person that gets the shield. So happened, Sheree, she by Sheree, okay, is the one who makes it over. She gets the closest, and that's who gets the shield for safety. Now let me drag y'all for a minute, because y'all tried to tell me that my girl She by Sheree was not playing this game and she was clueless and she was lost. Now, as far as what's going on, yes, sure, she is. But she's been winning some of these challenges. Like even with the bird call, she got her first 2 correct when she was, you know, translating to the... My girl been doing something. It may not be anything extravagant, but she been winning money for the team, okay? And now she has safety. My girl, She by Sheree, is doing some she by she things, okay? So we gonna leave her alone moving forward, because she is there. That's what I'm saying. You have to be very careful with the social media streets, because y'all had me thinking that my girl was just there in Wonderland, like just moving with the clouds. And she's involved. She's involved. So get off her back. So now back at the house, Peter and the people are talking, and they're having the conversation about Parvati, and they're having the conversation about Dan, right? And so Parvati tries to enter the room, and Peter jumps up, and he's like, oh, can you just give us a second? And then shuts the door on her and sends her on about her business. And when I tell you, that is such an awful feeling when you know that you're on the chopping block and conversations are being had, and you try to be a part of the conversations and they won't let you. Oh my goodness, that is so uncomfortable, because it's like, I know y'all talking about me. Let me at least give me an opportunity to come in here and hear what you're saying so I can try to defend myself. They're like, no, defend yourself at the round table. No, ma'am. And like, just shut the door on her and was like, okay, we'll see you in a little bit. Eventually, you know, he opened the door and had a conversation with her. But at that time, he said, you're not going to be a part of this conversation. And I was like, oh, Parvati. So Dan grabs Peter again before the round table, and he lets him know that through this whole time that he's been here, since day one, he's been watching one person, and he's been watching this person like a hawk. Everything that they do, what they say, blah blah blah, he's been watching this person. And because, you know, I know the fast forward, I'm just sitting there like, oh Dan, don't go out like this. Don't. Surely this was not the rabbit that you pulled out the hat. This cannot be the rabbit. You know, from the spoilers I saw on social media, I assumed that there was a rabbit that came out the hat, and then the rabbit didn't work. And so then, you know, now he's just grasping for straws. But to find out that this was the rabbit, oh, damn. I expected so much more. Why is this the rabbit? This cannot be the rabbit. Oh my gosh. This can't be the rabbit. Like, and this, y'all, this is the rabbit. This is the rabbit. Oh my gosh. He goes to Peter, because at this moment, Peter is the most influential in the house, right? And then he goes to Trishelle. And of course, I know that that goes back to that whole peppermint situation. He goes to Trishelle because he also knows she is also influential and persuasive, right? So he goes to Trishelle and he's like, there's this one person I've been watching, and I'm going to bring it up tonight at the round table. And all I'm asking is that you have an open mind. He goes to CT because CT keeps his mouth closed, but he's also influential, right? He goes to CT. There's this one person. I need you to be open-minded. I need you to just hear me out at the round table, blah, 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 blah. CT is like, I got an open mind. You know, let me hear what you got. Plead your case. So we get to the round table. We get to the round table. And Dan opens up with, I have been watching this one person. And then he goes into this whole spiel with the, so let's play a game. Okay, let's play a game. I start getting excited again when he says that, because I'm like, okay, maybe, you know, Devon, maybe you was tripping. Maybe that wasn't the rabbit. Maybe this is the rabbit. This has got to be the rabbit, right? And so then he's like, raise your hand if your name has been written on the voting board before, you know, and, you know, everybody who name has been written raises their hand. And he's like, okay, so you, and your name have not been written. And so of the people left, I think it was like Parvati, Sandra, Phaedra, and Kevin, I think. Those 4 people all had like weird votes, right? And so he was like, of the 4 people left, these people have all had weird votes, but they've been able to provide an explanation for their weird votes. And so he said Parvati had an explanation for her vote, Kevin had an explanation for his vote, and Sandra had an explanation for her vote. And that only leaves one person. And then he goes, and that's Phaedra. And when he said that, because what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You know, and Phaedra, my girl kept her composure. The whole time he is talking, she is not, you know what I'm saying? She just let him get whatever he got to get off his chest and doing his whole little situation, his whole little game he want to play, because you want to play a game. So she's letting him do his whole little game. And, you know, he's like, I've been watching you, and then your reactions at the breakfast table. And as Dan is talking about a weird vote, never having your name written down, and then your reactions at breakfast, I'm like, the math ain't mathing. Like, it's not, help me. Because Dan, this is the rabbit. You've been in retirement for a decade, which means you've had time. You had time to prepare for this moment. And this is the rabbit we are getting. This is the rabbit that we are getting, right? And so, baby, as he's talking, you can see certain people like Trishelle, because as much of an influence as she is, she's also easily influenced, right? And so she's picking up everything Dan is putting out. She taking it all in, taking it all in, taking it all in. So Phaedra, in Phaedra fashion, okay, in true Phaedra fashion, collected the hell out of Dan sitting at that table. I mean, it didn't leave a crumb. I mean, and did not leave a crumb, okay? Told that man flat out, I do too much because you do too little. Do more. She told that man, you need to do more. That's why you're sitting here, because you don't do enough. That's why we are where we are, because you don't do enough, right? And so she's going back and forth with him, but she's doing it in a way where everybody is like, that makes more sense than what the hell you're talking about. And let me, Kate, okay, at first I wanted her voted out, but now I've changed my mind, because I'm telling you, if Kate were not there, I think Dan's little scheme playing game may have worked just a little bit. But it was Kate who spoke up and was like, this is dumb. Like, you want me to believe that she's not, and because she's a housewife. Of course she does too much. Do you know who she is? And she's this and she's that. And I know you, and I know you play Big Brother, and I know you've won twice, and I know you're this, and I know you're that. Like, Kate just started reading down the rights. And I'm like, ooh, like, this does not look good for friend. Like, friend, whatever. It was the wrong rabbit, okay? This rabbit bit you, okay? You tried, it didn't work. It didn't work, it didn't work. You didn't pull out a rabbit, baby. You pulled out Tasmanian Devil, and it turned around and bit you. It was bad. So then that damn Parvati comes out and says, I would just like to say that, you know, I trusted Dan because he was the first person I talked to. So basically, she's trying to do to Dan what Dan did to Janelle, right? I trusted the wrong person. And Peter is like, don't listen to none of that. This is all crap. She's trying to deflect from the fact that she was attached to him. She's trying to detach. She's still one of them. Like, don't forget, I don't care what's going on. We're going to get him out, but I need y'all to remember, she is still, in fact, one of them. Baby, when I tell you this round table, it was hot. When I tell everybody was getting slapped up, okay? Peter was not here for it. Peter said, don't let her try to change your mind or shift your focus from the fact that she is also a traitor. As much as we are focused on Dan, remember her. Remember her. And I'm just like, oh, baby. And Parvati's like, can I talk? Can I talk? He's like, you can say what you want to say. But I'm going to make sure that the people remember that you and him are traitors together. Dan also brings up this Ekin-Su vote and how, you know, the night before, Phaedra had voted for Ekin-Su to be banished. And then the next day, Ekin-Su gets the poison. And so he's just trying to connect all of these dots to where he can throw Phaedra under the bus. But from what we're seeing, the bus is left. The bus is gone. Like, you are throwing her in the middle of the street and my girl is walking across. She is strutting in her heels across. Like, there's no effect. Nothing is working. This is making it worse for you. Like, I'm watching in real time for the first time ever. I'm watching Dan drown. Like, I'm watching him drown. And the more he talks, the more the water is doing this. Just doing this, is doing this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then we get here and I'm watching him. And he's not. I'm watching him drown. And it was hard to watch that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't like how he was playing this game, but it was very hard to watch him drown. That's why I said I would have preferred that he just went home first. I would have preferred if he had went home first, because this right here, this was hard. Regardless of how he played on the Traitors, who he is in the Big Brother world is still who he is in the Big Brother world. But in this game, the legend title is just not yours, friend. And I'm so sorry. And honestly, it is probably easier said than done. I'm sitting here as a viewer. I've never played the game before. So you probably were doing what you felt was the best thing to do in that moment. All I'm saying is the people inside of the game were telling you your strategy was not working. And at no point did you try to come up with a new strategy. You were very adamant about the strategy that you had. And I think that's because that strategy has worked for you 2 times before. And so you thought that it was going to work again, but we are in a new environment. And so you have to be able to come up with something else. The people are 100% on Phaedra's side, right? Of course, there's Trishelle. Her wheels are spinning and she's like, you're making a little sense, Dan. You're making a little sense, Dan, right? And she's right. She's right. Phaedra is in fact a traitor, but and it was bad enough that Phaedra ate him up and left no crumbs. But then this John politician comes and basically puts a bow on him and packages him up real nice and sends him off, okay? He told him banishment is your fate. For treachery, banishment is your fate. And the way he delivered it, oh, John ate. John the politician. I was not a fan because, but John, you ate that. You ate that. You ate that. So it's time to vote. And as they're going around doing the votes, Dan is getting all of the votes. When it comes time to reveal Dan's vote, he makes sure to remind the people that Phaedra is a lawyer. He said it real smooth too. Like, you know, I should have known better than to go against a classy lawyer. Like, to remind the people that, you know, she has the mouthpiece. And so I'm like, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. You could have just wrote her name and kept going. But he's still trying to make sure that when he's gone, she can still be, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, Dan, like, you already going home. Like, leave her alone. You already got the eyes on her. Like, leave her alone. But I think accepting that defeat was just too hard for him. And so leaving the breadcrumbs to make sure that she leaves after he leaves. Because he had already accepted the fact that he was gone. Dan knew he was gone. But he was like, if I'm leaving, I'm grabbing your ankles. As I'm drowning, I'm going to grab your ankles and you're going to come down with me. So let me just leave these breadcrumbs. I will see you at the bottom of the ocean, right? And I'm just like, don't do that. Don't do that. Leave her alone. Don't do that, right? And so all of the votes are pretty much going towards Dan. And then we get to Peter. And Peter puts Parvati. Okay, he knows Dan is going home, but he puts Parvati and he says, if I don't make it tonight, if they vote me out tonight and I end up going home, the traitors get me, right? I just want to remind you guys, Parvati is not off the table. Don't forget about Parvati. Ultimately, Dan gets the majority of the votes and then he gets his opportunity to stand in front of everybody and he gives his, I've played 2 seasons of Big Brother. I came out of retirement after a decade and the whole spiel. And then he announces he is a traitor. And the table goes crazy. Everyone is excited because finally they got a traitor and so they're celebrating and everyone feels like we finally accomplished something, right? It's a good night for the faithfuls and a great night for Phaedra, but it is definitely a good night for the faithful. So Yay to the faithful. So at this point in the game, there is a very big, very out in the open 5-person alliance, and it is Peter, John, Bergie, Trishelle, and Kevin, right? And Poverty is like, what are we going to do about this alliance that's real loud and real out in the open? What are we going to do about that? And she's asking as a traitor because she knows that those 5 want her head on a platter. And so she's trying to convince the other half of the faithfuls, what are y'all going to do to make sure that y'all take them out? Because when it comes down to write down names, if that's an alliance and you're not in that alliance, baby, they are coming after you. You are going to get written on the card and you are going to get banished. So what are we going to do to protect me? Ultimately is what Poverty is saying. So now the traitors, the 2, no Dan, but the 2 traitors get to have their little meeting, right? And so it's just Poverty and Phaedra. And so they're in the middle of discussing who they may want to send home. Poverty is like, there's no question, I have to get Peter out of here. If I don't, Peter is coming after me. And Phaedra is like, well, do you think that's a smart decision to do? If you take him out, obviously, they're going to say, okay, you took out Peter. It's you. You know what I mean? Poverty does not care. She said, look, I can't take the risk. I have to get that man up out of here because if I don't, he's going to lead the charge and come after me. So as they're having the conversation, Alan walks in, right? And when Alan walks in, he lets them know, I have an opportunity for you guys to recruit a new traitor. He said, but if you make the decision to recruit someone, understand that there will be no banishment. So you can't send somebody home and recruit somebody. That's not what we're doing. You're going to do one or the other. So Poverty comes up with this idea to recruit Peter. You know, it's better to have him close to her than to have him on the opposite side. She said it's going to be fun now that he's created this big old alliance and everyone is kind of like following behind him. It's going to be fun to watch him take out all of his friends, right? She makes it sound like, ooh, right? And so Phaedra is like, that doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Phaedra is like, I do not trust Peter. I do not think we should tell him who we are and invite him into our circle. But if that's something you feel like you want to do, I'm going to follow your lead. And if it all burn up, then let's let it burn up, baby. But I'm going to follow your lead. And so Poverty writes Peter's name down. Alan takes the letter. He goes and delivers it to Peter. Peter reads the letter and we see him kind of like, you know, having the out loud monologue of what he thinks is the best decision for him to take it or not to take it. And then the episode ends. And so, baby, I cannot wait to get into the next episode because I asked when they first recruited Poverty if it was possible for a traitor to say no. And I was reading a lot of the comments and the comments were like, you're going to find out soon that a traitor can't say no. A traitor can't say no. So I'm assuming that Peter is going to say no to the offer. And that's you didn't send him home. So you gave him another day to breathe and strategize to get you out. And then he declines your offer. Oh, baby. What a slap in the face. What a slap in the face. Okay, so I don't know if that's what's going to happen. I'm just going by the comments that you guys have made on my videos. And so I'm excited to see what happens. That is the end of episode 6. I have 2 more episodes, okay? 2 more episodes and I am all caught up. Those of you that have been staying with me throughout this process, thank you so much. I made a commitment to recap every single episode, and as tempting as it has been to just say, you know what, forget this. I'm just going to go straight to episode 8 and just tell my thoughts on episode 8. It has been so tempting, but when I read the comments on my videos and some people are like, this is so good because I get to rewatch it with you, and it's like, you know, I'm watching it again for the first time and I love hearing you talk about each episode. That stuff is encouraging and uplifting for me, and so I'm gonna keep going. I have 2 more episodes left and then we will finally be all caught up. Thank you guys so much for taking this journey with me. If you liked this video, make sure you like this video. As always, make sure to share the video, tell a friend to come back and watch it. Make sure you have subscribed to my channel if you have not already. Those of you that already have, I love you guys and I thank you so much. Also, make sure you turn on that notification bell, okay? So you can get notified when I drop new videos out. I've been pushing these, baby. Push it. I've been pushing. I was about to start singing. Copyright. I was is about to start singing down. Yes, I've been pushing these videos out. So make sure you have that notification turned on so you can get notified when these videos drop. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. And until my next video, I'm out.